Hey, lovelies. So I just finished reading Tombs, A Latter-day Chronicles by James Dorr. And wow, wow. Those are my first thoughts. For those of you who read his guest posts on An Angel's Life, you will completely understand what I say when I say this guy is deep. I loved the fact that I learned a bunch of new terms, new words. The lexicomaniac in me is absolutely thrilled. He creates this incredible and very realistic world and society based around global warming. But then you find out that there's more. It's really, it's so complex. It's okay. It's a novel in stories, meaning that it's a bunch of short stories that are all in the same world, that are all built together to create this world. And I thought I kind of had an idea of what I was getting into because I read World War Z, and I absolutely loved World War Z. And I felt like this was going to make sense and, be a fairly quick and easy read. I shouldn't have thought that because I read his stuff, on his guest posts that he did on An Angel's Life and never should have thought someone as deep as his writing is would be an easy read. But, I spent a lot of time thinking and not... I don't know how to explain it. In a good way. It's a good read. I will say it's not something that I will let my boys read yet. Yet being the key caveat there, because I do hope that they read it one day because it is really thought-provoking and it holds up a mirror to issues that our society is currently suffering from, and not just climate change issues, which are extremely relevant after everything that happened with the Paris Accord, but also the way societies develop and how we're all interconnected, and yet some of us think that we're not, and how we look down on certain people because of the lifestyles that they choose, when without them our societies couldn't function. It's so deep. It's so deep. It's so deep that usually I'm one of those people that I'll sit and read 2, 3, 4 chapters in a book at a time. And with this, it's not really divided into chapters. It's divided into stories, obviously. Hence the title, or hence the concept, novel and stories. But with this, some of the stories were short stories, and I could have read more. But there was, even the short ones, there was so much to think about. The only time that I read more than one story at a time was there's a few intersecting pieces that come from the narrator, basically, who's finding and sharing these stories. In a time even further past than these stories are told. And that was the other thing that was really cool, is that it wasn't until about halfway through the story, through the book, that I realized, well, I can't tell you. There's a lot of thought that went into when the stories were told, how the stories were told, and how they would feed into each other. I'll put it that way. And it didn't connect for me until about halfway through the stories. So, yeah, absolutely love this. It is a very intense story concept. The world building was phenomenal. Heavy topics. I wouldn't recommend it for younger readers, or for those who don't enjoy thinking about politics or anthropological viewpoints, because it really does make you take a look at the way that you view our current world situation. So, all right, well, that's my first thoughts, and then I'm going to go and try to coalesce all of that into a clear, concise blog post for tomorrow, in which I'll give a little bit more of a review on a couple of the stories that were my favorite. I'm not going to do that here and now because, yeah, I need to think about how best to reveal it. I don't want to ruin the stories for anyone while still being able to share the stories. So, all right, well, that's my first thoughts, and look forward to seeing the review tomorrow. Until next time, keep reading.